Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith. We warmly welcome the family of Pilot Officer Keith Ormond Barnes, whose story will be told shortly by Captain Andrew Barnes of the Royal Australian Navy, who is Pilot Officer Barnes' great-nephew. We warmly welcome Group Captain Ernie Walsh, President of the Air Force Association ACT Division. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St John Paul II Catholic College from Schofields, New South Wales. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Pilot Officer Keith Ormond Barnes. Keith Barnes was born on the 6th of March 1923 in Williamstown, Victoria. He was one of 5 children born to Edwin Robert Barnes, an engineer, and his wife Hilda. Keith received his education at Williamstown High School. Later, he went to work at the Engineers Office at Melbourne City Council, where he was employed as a junior clerk when the Second World War broke out in 1939. Keith Barnes joined the Royal Australian Air Force at age 18 on the 15th of August 1941. His enlistment continued a proud record of service for the Barnes family, with his 2 older brothers, Ian and Max, serving in the Australian Army and the Royal Australian Naval Volunteer Reserve. Keith Barnes completed his initial training in Australia and qualified as a pilot, receiving his wings on the 28th of May 1942. In August, he embarked for active service from Sydney, and in mid-November arrived in England, where he learned to operate Oxford, Wellington and Lancaster bombers. In August 1943, Barnes joined his first operational unit, No. 49 Squadron of Britain's Royal Air Force. Based at Fiskerton in Lincolnshire, the squadron was part of Bomber Command and was equipped with 4-engine Lancasters, conducting night raids over targets in enemy territory. In his first raid, he acted as second pilot in an attack over Berlin and later in raids over targets including Nuremberg, Gladbach, Mannheim and Munich. By 1944, Barnes had completed 22 sorties and had accrued more than 160 operational flying hours. On the 27th of January 1944, Pilot Officer Barnes set off on his 23rd mission as the captain and pilot of a 7-man Lancaster crew targeting Berlin. Barnes's Lancaster was some 30 miles south of the target when the aircraft came under attack from night fighters. After the raid, it was discovered that Barnes and his comrades had failed to return to base. The following day, his commanding officer wrote to Barnes's mother, "Your son was flying as pilot and captain of an aircraft which took off just before dark to attack a target at Berlin. Since then, we have heard nothing from him. I hope that later we shall have news that he is safe, though this will probably mean he is a prisoner of war. In the 5 months his crew had been here, it had developed into one of the best on the squadron, and this was in no small way due to the excellent leadership of your son. He was generally liked and admired for the quiet and efficient way that he accepted and carried out any task allotted to him. I am extremely sorry to lose him in this way." 8 months later, in August 1944, Barnes's name and those of 3 of his comrades appeared on a German death list, at which point he was confirmed to have died on the 27th of January 1944. The following year, Barnes was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for skill and fortitude in operations against the enemy. Unable to accept that her son had been killed, Barnes's mother wrote to the Air Ministry in 1945. "We are still hoping he may be found in a hospital somewhere, as so many have been found. He may have lost his memory or even been disfigured by burns. I have a strong feeling that he is not gone, and being his mother, I want to do everything possible to search for him. I am enclosing a photo of him, as I thought it might help if he had lost his memory. He was 20 years and 10 months of age at his presumed death. There have been so many found who have been missing longer than our son. If you found our boy, for us. We would be forever grateful. Thanking you from a very sad mother." Barnes's exact fate remained unknown until the war's end, when the authorities could investigate hundreds of cases of missing aircrew. In May 1946, it was discovered that Barnes's aircraft had been shot down in the vicinity of Arnsdorf, southwest of Berlin. 4 of the crew managed to parachute to safety, while Barnes and 2 others were killed when their Lancaster exploded into flames. The bodies of Barnes and his 2 comrades were exhumed in 1946 and reburied at Berlin War Cemetery. Today, Barnes lies beneath a simple inscription, chosen by his grieving family. It reads, "Duty nobly done." Pilot Officer Barnes was just 20 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Pilot Officer Keith Ormond Barnes, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.